So when you come together with people, whether it's a good cause or not, there is power in unity. So one of the number one things that stuck out to me about this story is be careful who and what you come into agreement with. Be careful what you unify yourself with, who your circle is, who your people are, what your stance is. Be careful what you come into agreement with, because whether it's good or bad, there's power in that. And that power can either destroy something in your life or it can destroy something in someone else's life. Welcome to the new Storytime with Sirece, where Bible stories come to life. Through the gift of storytelling, we'll revisit powerful moments from God's word that encourages, inspires, and strengthens our faith. So let's go back in time to uncover timeless truths and prepare our hearts for an eternity with Jesus. Are you ready? Let's begin. And now, let's all welcome your host, Sirece Thomas. Hey guys, hello, welcome in. It is another week and another story time with Sirece Bible series edition. Okay, we are moving through these stories, and honestly, I'm loving it because I am remembering things that I'm like, did that really happen? Yes, it did. All right. And again, we are sharing these Bible stories so that we can encourage each other in our faith and remember that God was doing some incredible things over 2,000 years ago. And that is the same God that we serve today. And he wants us to be able to take and glean from those principles of old that still reign true today. Sometimes we get too far away from what God's original intention and purpose is for us, which number one is to just be ambassadors of God, to worship him in our lifestyle, to help other people be loosed from evil and bring them to God, help them to learn about who Jesus is and have them have a heart and a passion for him. But we have gotten so caught up in the glitz and the glamour, in the algorithms, in the this and the that, in the fast and the speed. And we literally have gotten distracted. And that's the enemy's, that's his plan, is to distract and to destroy and to divide and cause destruction, mainly in our relationship with God. And so this next story is literally just that, the Tower of Babel. Listen. After Noah, which was the last story, so if you have not saw that, make sure you go back with Noah's Ark. After Noah's Ark landed and his family reproduced, now the entire earth spoke one language. Isn't that crazy? Like, when you really think about it, like, the earth was repopulated literally, and everyone spoke one language. And I can only imagine the power that they felt in unity. And we always talk about, the word says unity is the place of power. And so when you come together with people, whether it's a good cause or not, there is power in unity. So one of the number one things that stuck out to me about this story is be careful who and what you come into agreement with. Be careful what you unify yourself with, who your circle is, who your people are, what your stance is. Be careful what you come into agreement with, because whether it's good or bad, there's power in that. And that power can either destroy something in your life or it can destroy something in someone else's life. And so these people were speaking one language, and they must have felt the power. They must have felt the confidence. They must have done other things where they were just like, we are just on the same page here. I mean, don't you feel that? For all my couples out there, my married people, you know how powerful it feels when you and your man or you and your woman are on the same page. It really does feel powerful, and you can work wonders. The only thing is, you just want to make sure you are on the same page that the Lord has given you to write on. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to be on something that God is like, that's not even a page in the book. What page are you on? You want to be careful what you come into agreement with. So these people felt the confidence, and one day they looked up and said, you know what? We are going to build a tower, and it's going to reach the heavens. And here's the second thing that stuck out for me. Literally, it says in Genesis 11, right at the top, it's a short story. It says, we're going to build a tower and we're going to reach the heavens, and we are going to make a name for ourselves. That was their sole purpose, that we will build this tower and people will know us. They will remember us because look what we did in our own might and our own will. It had nothing to do with the glory of God. It served no purpose in any way. They did not go to God. They did not find out if this is something we should do. They just decided, you know what? This is what we're going to do. And we're going to make a name for ourselves. And literally, this is what today is literally all about that. And that doesn't just mean platforms such as this, like YouTube, which is why I'm so careful when I put something out there, because it is so easy to want to just put something out there that's going to go viral. What if God just wanted me to reach one person with this message? And I get so caught up in making a name for myself. But we can do that on our jobs. We just want to make a name for ourselves. So I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and But did God say that? We want to do that in our families, in our friendship circles. I just want to be the one. And we may not always say that. That's the thing about secrecy and things that come in these hidden intentions. You have to really ask God to bring to surface some of the intentions of your heart, because you don't even know it's there. We don't wake up in the morning and say, hello, I am going to make a name for myself. That's not how it works. It's a subtle little thing that begins to build, and it starts to move in the way that you live and the choices that you make, that you are making a name for yourself, and you are not looking to glorify God in any way, and you are doing things that have nothing with the purpose that God has called for you to serve. And then what happens is God looked down and said, oh, they're going to accomplish that, because at the end of the day, his law is law. Unity, there is power. They will succeed. So God said, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to destroy their little tower, but I'm going to confuse them. And he created disunity by giving them different languages. And here we are today. And I just want to encourage you. Sometimes you may find yourself in a place where you feel so confused because you were just set out on a path to do something, not realizing that it had nothing to do with where God is calling you. And you find yourself, why do I feel so confused? I was so sure about this thing. And now I'm just like, I don't know if that's it. You want to start by asking God to check your motives, right? Everything that you do. And my good sis told me this before. Sometimes we are so quick to ask God for his hand and not seek his heart. We are so quick to say, okay, well, I want to do this because I just got to get it and I want to do it. And we do that with people. We do that with other things. And it's just like, and I love that song. That's What a God. That song called What a God, which just talks about, if I never see your hand, but have your heart, then I have it all. And that's what it's about. I don't need to build the tower. I don't need to reach the heavens. I don't need everyone to know my name and make a name for myself. What I need is for God to know my name. And what I need is to make sure that everything I do is according to his purpose for my life. I'm not trying to live my life constantly confused or constantly trying to figure out the next thing, because I'm just not taking the time to ask God to search my heart, to develop me so that I can understand, so that I can have spiritual insight to really walk this thing and have a genuine relationship with him, where I'm seeking his face and I'm looking to help people and point them to God, and not looking to just make a name for myself. So be encouraged. If you are just feeling like, man, I'm constantly feeling like I'm not on the right path, it's because you're not. You may be off of solid ground because you are building it yourself without his direction. If we go back to Noah and the ark, everything God did, he was in the details. He gave the instructions step by step. And I know some of us get frustrated today because we're like, I don't know the next step. Well, sometimes it's just because we're not patient enough to wait. Just because he's silent doesn't mean that the next step isn't coming. It could mean that he's developing something in you so that you can build correctly, so that you can build in the right way. So I want to encourage you, listen, unity is the place of power, but be careful what and who you're unifying with. What is the purpose that it's serving? And ask God, check my heart. I have to ask him that all the time, because the gift that he's given me and the profession that I always find myself is in front of the camera. Okay. And being in the front of the camera, you can always, okay, well, I've got to be seen and this is what I do. But sometimes God is like, hey, I got something else for you. I want you to do it like this. You've got to be very careful, whether it's on your job, in your family, in your neighborhood, in your community, something that you volunteer at. Don't look to make a name for yourself. Look to glorify God's name. Trust He will elevate you in the right way at the right time. But if you do it your way, you will constantly find yourself confused and feeling off track. Or even if you succeed, you will feel that emptiness that's insatiable that you say, I just need to do something else because this just ain't it. So be encouraged. Watch what you're agreeing with. Watch what you're unifying with, and just seek God. Ask Him, what is it that you are asking me to do, Lord? Because I just only want to do that. I don't want to waste no time. We don't get a lot of time. I don't want to waste no time trying to just imagine how they felt building that tower. And then all of a sudden they're like, wait, what are you saying? I don't understand. They spent so much energy and work in doing something that was never going to succeed, that was never going to fulfill them. We don't got time for that, y'all. Don't start building no tower that God didn't ask you to build. Don't be in agreement with things and people that can really just throw you off your purpose. Seek God, and don't be scared to ask God to check that heart. Check that motive. I have to ask Him that all the time. What's my intention in going down this path? What's my real intention? Trust me, if you ask, you'll find out, and He'll tell you in a nice little gentle way, some of us. So be encouraged. That's the story of the Tower of Babel. It is in our own lives today. The towers that we sometimes try to erect that have nothing to do with what God is asking us to do. They don't serve any purpose in glorifying Him, only that we would just make a name for ourselves. And ultimately we will get confused and we will feel empty. All right. So be encouraged. Find out what God has for you. Build the right tower. Unify with what He is saying, and you will see the things in your life just blossom. So be encouraged. I love you guys, and I'll see you next week for another story time with Sirece. Don't forget to subscribe for our stories, because they are going to get better and better, because the Bible is the best binge yet. All right, I'll see you guys soon. Bye.